All right, next day. Let's see how this came out. See how bad my bodywork was. This I knew was going to be bad because I never actually did anything other than grind the rust out. That's super, yeah, there's lots of sanding scratches, and you can actually see the shape of the filler spots through. I mean, how thick I slathered on the primer is kind of hiding some of the crimes, but yeah, this is all still pretty bad. I mean, it's better than it was before I did anything, but it ain't super great. This transition is awful. There's something up there. I don't even know what that is. I didn't get really great paint on the bottom of that. Yeah, it's rough. Kind of what I was expecting. This right here, I had painted everything else and cleaned the gun, and then realized I never actually put any paint here. So I had to put the gun back together, slop some paint back into it, and shoot that. So let's see over here. Oh, this is awful. That is just god-awful right there. There's a ridge here. There's a ridge. This is terrible. This isn't bad. Those are runs. That's not bad. That could have been better. That's pretty good. That's not great, but not terrible. That could have been a little better. This isn't terrible. This is as good as I expected it to be, because the high spots you're seeing, if you, I don't even know if they're visible on camera, are the metal, not the filler. I think I'm done. I don't think I'm going to do more body work now, because I know everything's been done at this point. It's all been sprayed with proper primer. I think I'm going to accept what it is, scuff it, shoot it with the color, and then move on with my life. And then when I'm ready to do the full repaint of the van, then I'll go back and try and make those things better. Because if after a week it still looks like this, I'm not going to make it suddenly and amazingly better in like a day. So yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible. This is actually the part. Okay, no, I take it back. This is the worst spot by far. I don't know what the heck I was doing over there. I think I just lost the plot. That's pretty bad. This isn't terrible, but could be better. This is going to be my biggest nemesis when it comes to doing this again. I have a feeling I'm going to end up, when it comes time to properly repaint the van from end to end, I have a feeling what I'm going to end up doing here is grinding all this out, hammering these down, and then redoing it, because as it is, there's no way to fill and smooth when the metal's the high spot. So yeah, it looks like I caught this with my foot. That's unfortunate, and I somehow put my finger in it over there. Fortunately, this is just bringing the primer up too high, so that one's not a problem. This one's not a huge problem. Yeah, it's good enough that I can put paint over it. A little bit of scuff and clean up here and there, and it's going to be good enough to put the blue on it and call it done. So it's a little after 9 right now. The new weather forecast for today is rain at 5. So I think I'm going to go get breakfast and strip all this off. And then, yeah, it's just going to be give everything a... I need to read the instructions for this paint to make sure that I'm doing it right. But it's going to be prep the paint however it needs to take the next layer, scuff everything else, smooth some transitions, like the top here where the primer meets is probably your... Yeah, let's find out. Come on, give me an end. there's a lip here, and there's going to be a lip around that. I'm going to try and smooth that out so that the transition's a little smoother, same anywhere else like that. I'm just going to shoot it. I think because the white is so goddamn bright, I think I'm going to shoot the jams with the blue, like real quick and dirty, just so that when you open the door, there's not a white door jam. So my bodywork is what it is. I can go back and make it better, but I'm not going to bother for now. It's good enough, and the van will look better even with this bodywork, just having proper paint on it, not two different colors of primer. So yeah. All right, so I got basically all the masking pulled off. I left the bumpers masked because I don't need to do anything with them. This piece of blue tape is just so I can kind of tell where that body line is. And what I'm going to do is a combination of scuff pad and 400 wet dry. I'm going to wet sand and scuff the entire van, basically from this body line down all the way along, with a little bit of, like I said, I need to clean up this edge so it's not a step, and I need to clean up this edge so it's not a step. Maybe some other spots here and there. But yeah, I'm just going to put you up on time lapse. I'm going to scuff down this whole side, jump over to the other side, scuff down that whole side, and hopefully I'll have this banged out well before I have to stuff it in the garage for the rain. Alright, well, there's everything wet sanded and scuffed from the body line down, and I just washed it all with degreaser. So what I'm going to do is sit the van here with its doors wide open, let everything try and dry. Hopefully it will, while I go get tape and a 90-degree fitting for the airline off the gun after the problems I had with that. And then hopefully when I come back this will be dry and I can mask it and shoot it. Alright, everything is dry except for the water that dripped out of there when I slammed the door, but I think it's all ready to go. Like, there's some areas that there's paint scratches that I probably should sand out, but decided I don't care. But yeah, everything else is as ready it's going to be, I think. So now it's time to mask everything and then shoot it blue and see what happens. Alright, the van is all taped up on both sides, including around the front. I got lazy on this side because several days of sanding. I'm actually in a fair amount of pain right now, and I just decided I didn't want to wrestle the big sheet up there. So I'll take the risk of this, letting the paint get up there. I'm trying something. This is a loop, basically, of paper that's only taped up here, because it was I saw it somewhere, somebody was talking about you can do that to get a little bit of a blend, because the bit of paint can go up under there. No idea if it's going to work, but figured, hey, why not give it a shot, because this isn't a permanent final paint job, so it's worth throwing an experiment in on top of it. So I need to double check the weather to make sure it's not going to rain in the next like hour, and then wipe this all down, mix up the paint, and shoot it. Yep, it's raining. I was literally wiping the van down and it started raining on me. So, fuck me, I guess. I'm going to pull the covers off the tires, drive it in the garage, and just, I don't know when I'm going to get to paint it now. But hey, at least I hadn't mixed the paint, I guess. Alright, well, who knows when I'm going to get back to that. I'm really frustrated and PO'd just because after the message about all I have to do is wipe this down and spray it, I decided to go in and have lunch because I was not feeling well, and part of that was I desperately needed to eat. So I decided I'll go take care of myself because I've got 4 hours until the rain is due. I'm getting rained on right now, and if I hadn't taken care of myself and eaten lunch, I would have had the van painted by the time this rain was in. So just like the universe is telling me apparently not to take care of myself, which is not right. So it's really frustrating. So we'll get back to this whenever it's not fucking raining. All right, we're trying this again because it's sunny out, and we're at the end of this batch of storms, but another batch of storms is coming in later, so we're gonna try and get this done. All right, so this is the paint for the van. It needs to be mixed because it's been sitting for a bit, but this was mixed based on the paint code for the van, but the van's also supposed to be a 2-stage and this is a single stage. So the paint color was already going to be a little off, plus also the van is faded some. So it's very good odds that this is going to be visibly darker than what's on the van, but it'll be close enough to look decent. That's my only goal with this. So I'm going to get this mixed. I'm going to get it loaded in the gun and just start spraying. All right, here we are. It's orange peely. I was messing with I thought I had it set right, but even as I was spraying it, I kept trying to mess with it to get it better, but it's still pretty orange peely. So I tried to counter that by putting a nice thick coat on so I can maybe wet sand it to be a little bit better. But even if it's orange peely, it's fine. It's still better than what it was, which was a bunch of random primer. Fuck. I screwed that up. Look at that. I must have rubbed that. I don't even know how. But anyway, I'm going to fix that real quick as soon as I finish talking to you. So sprayed everything. You saw. I sprayed the outside and then opened the doors and jammed them real quick. Wasn't going for perfection, but was, decided I wanted to cover the white primer just because it was so blatantly obvious. Mixed up 2 ounces. That wasn't enough, so I had to go back in and mix an extra ounce, and that was too much. So what I ended up doing, you probably saw, I don't know how much the time lapse caught it, but I climbed up on the roof, cleaned the spots on the roof, shot that bit of paint, that bit of paint, that bit of paint. So basically all the stuff that was primer or Master Series or whatever has now got a coat of the blue over it. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be a perfect match, but it's going to be less visible than what was there. And it's now sealed behind paint, so it'll be able to stand up to the winter a little bit better. Like, it's shot there where the third brake light was. These two hinges, hit them really quick because I had scratches from when it used to have a tire carrier on it. Overall, I think it came out decent. Over here, there's a couple of little fish eyes, unfortunately. I don't know how those got in there, but there's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing you can do to fix fish eyes as you're going, as far as I know. So I will come back in probably with a touch-up brush and hit those. This went on, well, I guess it is darker. It looks lighter when you don't have the rest of the van to compare it to. That all went in, all over here, but yeah, it went on. It seems it went on okay. It's going to look way better than it did before. I'm going to let it sit for a half an hour, assuming the weather continues to cooperate, and then I'm going to pull it in the garage and just leave it in there for probably a couple of days. One, because I'm so goddamn tired of dealing with this project, and two, to give the paint a chance to dry. The biggest concern right now is the door jambs. I'm probably gonna have to wedge all the doors slightly open, but whatever. Yeah, finally got this done. Finally got it in there. The mediocre bodywork is visible, but not terrible. Like, you have to be looking for it. And you either have to know the crappy bodywork and go looking for it, or you have to know where it is. But yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm happy. I mean, given this is the first time I've ever painted a vehicle, I think. Painted a trailer. Yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever sprayed paint onto a vehicle. Not primer, but actual paint. So, good enough. So, yeah, I think I'll start peeling paper while I'm waiting for it to set up, after I touch up those things on the other side, and then go from there. So this is obviously going to be enough right now. The video itself is not going to end until I've shown you what it looks like. Don't worry, I'm not going to be that kind of person. There's not going to be an extra one just so you can see the finished paint job. So you'll see that immediately. I'll have to wait a couple days. And here she is. Pulled all the tape off, but otherwise unwashed, just exactly as I finished it. It's definitely a massive improvement from random primer or the rust spots from when I bought it. So yeah. Realistic assessment. One, the color match is terrible. This was supposed to be the same color, but it's not, and none of the metallic is visible in it. The other thing is it's got terrible orange peel. I was having so many problems with the gun, and this is the best I could get out of it, so it is what it is. Two things that happened after I painted it. One, this was here when I backed it out of the garage. I suspect something in the garage brushed up against it or something. But that's a scratch in the paint, so I'm going to have to touch that up. The other thing that happened, I don't know how well this will show up on camera. I'm going to go from a couple angles, hopefully it will. You can see this is all really, really rough and messed up. What happened was one of the pieces of paper, as I was stripping the van off, flipped down and stuck to the still wet paint and messed it up. So I had a brush, because I was touching stuff, but we'll get into that. Anyway, I had a brush, so I flooded this with a bunch of paint with a brush in the hopes that I can come back in and wet sand the worst of this out. There's definitely bubbles in it, which I don't know what I'll be able to do with that. But I wanted something more than just the damaged paint there. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to wet sand the worst of that out, but it happens. The fade line is very visibly there, mostly in the texture difference, but if I can get somebody who knows what they're doing, because I'm not that person, I'm pretty sure we can buff this paint and this paint in a way that will make that line less of a thing. It's definitely less visible than if I had had a strip of tape. So I'm glad I did the fade thing, the blend thing where I had the loop of paper. because that definitely improved things. Like you can see here where it was tighter, the line's more visible. The other thing I did with the van was, since I had extra paint, I went through and a lot of the scratches, I'm not going to say all because you keep finding more, but a lot of the scratches I went through and touched up with that paint. It's not a good color match, but it's better than exposed chipped paint. So that was my theory. I went through and did a lot of it. Most of it's hard to see, but there's one there. Turns out the driver's side, once I got into it, the driver's door here and this section here, I don't know how much the camera will pick it up, but I did a ton of touching up because it was just lots and lots of little puck scratches. It's like almost like this side got like sandblasted by something at some point. But I did a lot of trying to touch that up. And I think this, again, when it gets polished and the extra paint goes away and you just have sort of the paint in the pit, I think that'll look a lot better. Even now it looks better. As far as this here, most of this has got a really nice fade to it that's going to help hide it. I got a sharp line up here, but that's definitely better than the big splotch that was there. The bodywork is really bad on that, but that's because this is very temporary bodywork. A bunch of the stuff on the bottom I'm going to try and, when I paint the van for real, the whole thing, I'm going to go back and redo some of this and try and make it better, but I'm also going to leave a lot of it. This right here is going to all come back out so that the rust can be properly dealt with there. As far as the roof stuff, it's good enough. This all up here, it's ugly, but it's less ugly than the bare stuff, and it seals it off so that it's going to be able to tolerate the weather better. That's all going to get redone as well. Overall, I'm happy with it. For the first time I've ever put paint on a vehicle, it came out decent. Didn't come out great. I really wish I had gotten the pressure better on the gun, so I didn't have all the orange peel. That's my biggest regret on it. But overall, like, once you step back, it's a van, and you can notice a bit of a difference if you're looking for it, but it's not super obvious. You can also just claim that this is all truck bed lined. That's why it's all textured. So there it is. Van's lower half painted, and at the very least, I can now drive it in the winter without that all re-rusting. So yeah, we're gonna call that a win for right now. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.